What's going on, guys, and welcome to my 2023 Qatar Grand Prix driver tier list video. So this one is coming out quite late. I'm recording this on Thursday the 12th of October because I've just been really busy with work lately, just with some other stuff going on as well. Well, when I'm recording this, I'm just about to upload part 36, I think it is, season 3 season 3 race 2 of F123 My Team Career Mode. So I kind of want to do that first because it's been quite a while. It's been like 5 days or so since I last did one of those, and then this will be coming out. I might upload this one on Friday, to be honest, so it'll be back-to-back videos, but then hopefully only a couple of days longer you'll have the next F123 video out. But yeah, so sorry that this is a bit late. Just been pretty busy with work and stuff lately. So anyway, let's get started. Straight away, of course, it is a sprint weekend, so we've got the sprint and all that sort of stuff to think about as well. I do mainly focus on the main Grand Prix, but the sprint still does come into effect, just not quite as much, and I'll explain that as we go. So let's get started with Alexander Albon, who finished P13 in the main race. I've only got the results from the main race here, actually. I didn't even think about that, but oh well. Well, like I said, though, that is where the majority of this is coming from. He finished, I think, P7, though, in the sprint. Scored a couple of points to Williams. And to be honest, just was a bit unlucky, I think, in the race. Yeah, I think, all in all, I think it's going to be a B. To score 2 points in the sprint race, I think, was a very good performance. Williams didn't look amazing here, and to be honest, he wasn't as far ahead of Logan as he has been at some other points. But yeah, he brought home a couple of points in the sprint, so I'm going to give him a B for that. And yeah, the race just is what it is, I guess. Yeah, just not really quite Williams' race, but he did bring home those sprint points. Fernando Alonso finished P6. He qualified 4th, didn't he, for the Grand Prix? Pretty good weekend, apart from the couple of offs that he had. He did have a couple of offs this weekend, but to come home P6, I think was a pretty reasonable thing. And to qualify 4th, I think was really good. Isn't A a bit too high? Because he did have a couple of offs. I think I'm going to go B because he did have a couple of times when he went off the track. When he came back on the track at one point, he was right in front of Leclerc, and I'm really surprised that there was never a penalty or even a mention of that, because he it was an unsafe rejoin in my opinion. He just came out right in front of Leclerc. My nose is really itchy, sorry. Yeah, so I'm a bit surprised about that, but all in all, P6, good result. P4 in qualifying, very good. I don't think he scored in the sprint, did he? So the sprint wasn't that great, but yeah, all in all, decent enough weekend for Alonso, considering where that car is at the moment. Valtteri Bottas, what a weekend it's been for Bottas. P8 in the race, and I think he was a decent position in the sprint as well. Didn't score points, I don't think, but a good position in the sprint as well. I'm going to give Bottas an A. I think a really good weekend for Bottas. He had very good qualifying as well. Qualified, what was it? Where did he qualify? I think he qualified like 8th or 9th. He got into the top 10, which was pretty great. And yeah, all round, pretty good weekend for Bottas. We see the odd good weekend for Bottas, and other times he's just absolutely nowhere. But yeah, it was a good one this time. Good one for Alfa Romeo as a whole. So good stuff, Bottas. I'm almost tempted by an S, but I think that's a bit much. I mean, has he got lucky with where he's finished ahead of drivers? It's only really Hamilton. Oh, I guess Sainz as well. And I mean, yeah, Perez was just, I don't even know. Yeah, I think an A is reasonable. It's a high A for Bottas though. Pierre Gasly, my nose is so goddamn itchy right now. This is very annoying. Pierre Gasly finished in 12th. He had a decent sprint from what I remember, but Ocon, yeah, I don't know if he scored points in the sprint, but he did okay from what I remember. And yeah, just didn't really quite have the pace. He was a decent way actually behind his teammate. I think he actually had grid penalties, didn't he? No, not grid penalties. I think he had penalties for track limits. So I'm going to go C. I think I'm going to go C for Gasly. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Yeah, I can't really remember how he did in the sprint, so I can't really comment on that. Lewis Hamilton. So Hamilton finished, I don't know where in the sprint. I think he did reasonable, but not amazing. His quali for the main Grand Prix was good, P3, but did qualify behind Russell. Same went for the sprint. Russell outqualified him, and all weekend Russell looks better than him. And of course, lap 1, turn 1, makes contact with his teammate, trying to go around the outside, just misjudged it. Not good from Hamilton. I'm going to give him an E. I'm going to give him an E. I'm not going to go all the way to an F because he wasn't terrible. His pace wasn't terrible. But yeah, that mistake was completely on him, and he did own up to it as well, which is good at least. But yeah, convincingly, I think Russell had him convincingly this weekend on pace, and to make that mistake at the start, it's just not very good. So especially from Hamilton, not something you see very often. So yeah, a poor weekend for Hamilton, definitely. Especially when, I think a podium was definitely up for grabs, maybe even P2 if he could have got the pace on Russell, because in the races he does tend to be a bit better. But yeah, not good for Hamilton. Sorry, I'm saying the wrong names. Kevin Magnussen finished No, it's not Kevin Magnussen, it's Nico Hülkenberg. Finished P16. I think he had one good quali session. I don't know why he... Oh no, that's why he was behind, because he went into the wrong grid spot, didn't he? Not great for Hülkenberg, and I think that kind of screwed... I mean, I don't think he was going to be scoring points anyway, but yeah, that's just a mistake that you just don't make. I think I'm going to have to go with D. It's a bit harsh, but you shouldn't be making that sort of mistake, especially with someone with as much experience as Hülkenberg. To make that mistake is just not good, and then just generally Haas were nowhere as usual. Liam Lawson, first bad weekend for him, I'd say, of his career, and this was, I mean, I don't know if it's been 100% confirmed, but pretty sure this was his last race with AlphaTauri taking over from Ricciardo. And it's been a pretty poor one to go out on. Spun out in the sprint, knocked out in Q1 on both times, and he just didn't have good pace in the race either. Was a fair way down on everyone else. Is an E too harsh? I think an E is too harsh, especially for a rookie and all that. It was his one bad weekend out of his run, so I'm going to go D for Lawson. Definitely not the weekend he would have hoped for after the last couple. Then we've got Charles Leclerc, who finished P5. Seemed to have the... it's hard to say, actually, because I think in the sprint, Sainz was there, and it was unfortunate that Sainz couldn't start the race. But, yeah, I think Leclerc did pretty much everything he could have. I think P5 was about as good as he could have expected this weekend. So I'm going to go an A. I think, all in all, pretty good weekend for Leclerc. A couple of good moves from him, and, yeah, a good one to bounce back from, because was it last time he had a bad weekend last time out, or was it, I can't remember, he had a bad weekend. He has a lot of bad weekends, to be honest, that aren't always his fault. Kevin Magnussen, yeah, I'm not sure what happened in quali, I can't really remember, but I'm going to give him a C just for the fact that he didn't go into the wrong grid spot. Yeah, Haas things, what else can you say? Lando Norris, of course, P3 in the sprint, P3 in the race, but beaten by Piastri in pretty much every session, actually, both qualies and both races. So, yeah, it's good. It's good from Norris. It's an A from Norris, but a couple of mistakes in quali meant that he didn't, he wasn't ahead of Piastri. And in the races, Piastri had at least enough pace to keep Norris behind. So, good work from Norris, but yeah, I think an A. Esteban Ocon finished P7 in the race, had a very good race, Grand Prix race, did not have a good sprint. That collision was completely his fault, in my opinion. And yeah, just he's at least come back to score some points. So I think because of that, and because that was the race where he scored the points, I'm going to go for a C. If it was the race where he had that collision, that probably would have been a D or an E. But yeah, he's brought home some pretty good points for Alpine in the race. So C for Ocon. Perez. I feel like we always go into Perez like just like, right, what have we got to say about Perez? It just seems to be the norm now. P10, he got, I think, 3 5-second penalties for track limits. He was off in quali. He didn't make it through to Q3. He was way behind Max all weekend. It is not good enough. E. It's an E. He didn't. Well, I was going to say he didn't crash, but he did, didn't he? Because he got in that kerfuffle with Ocon and Hulkenberg. But to be fair, I don't think that was really his fault. Although shouldn't have really been there fighting with those guys anyway. So I think E. If he had a crash that was completely his fault, or if it could have been an F. But I'm going to go E. But it's just, I'm sick of talking about Perez in this way. What else can I say? Piastri. S, driver of the weekend. What a result. He won the sprint race. He got pole position in the sprint shootout. Won the sprint race on pace. And yeah, came home P2 in the race. Didn't quite have the pace of Norris in the race, but had enough to keep that P2. And ultimately, yeah, didn't finish that far behind Verstappen. It was only 4.8 seconds behind Verstappen. What a weekend for Piastri. Easiest S I've ever given, possibly. Really good result for him. George Russell, another driver who I think was really good this weekend. Of course, had the issue of making contact with Hamilton, but I don't think that was his fault at all. There was nowhere he could have gone. He had Verstappen on the inside. Hamilton was trying to go around the outside. Not his fault at all, in my opinion. Had a very good qualifying. P2 was very good from him. And yeah, all in all, pretty good weekend. And to be honest, I think I'm going to give Russell an S. Is that a little bit high? Maybe. But I think considering he literally dropped to the back of the grid. Yes, there was a safety car, but he literally dropped to the back after that collision with Hamilton at the start and managed to fight back through to P4 and a good 4.5 seconds ahead of Leclerc as well. I think that's good for an S for me. Really good weekend for Russell. Was on top of Hamilton all weekend. Good stuff. George. Carlos Sainz, really difficult to judge. I'm just going to go for a C. He didn't get through to Q3, which was pretty disappointing, but his sprint was good. So, and I think he might have even beat Leclerc in the sprint. So, good work in the sprint. Qualifying for the main race didn't go very well, and then of course he didn't start the main race. No fault of his own. I think it was like a electronic issue or a fuel leak or something. So yeah, just have to go down the middle with a C. If he didn't have the good sprint, it probably would have been a D because of the qualifying, but I've bumped it up because of that sprint. Logan Sargent, honestly, was looking pretty good this weekend. He spun off in the sprint and didn't finish, but his pace was pretty decent in the main race, but then started feeling sick. I mean, a lot of drivers really unwell this weekend with just the heat and everything. Just pushing out all the time with how, the tyre strategy and everything was working. They were just constantly pushing all the time. Sargent couldn't quite take it and had to retire just due to himself not feeling well. But I think there was potential this weekend. So I don't know. I don't think he was going to score points, was he? I think I still got to go for a D because he did spin out in the sprint race. And yeah, he didn't finish the main race, but that wasn't really down to pace. But I think a D. It was a possible improvement for Logan, but still, he's got to do more, in my opinion, to keep his seat. Lance Stroll, what a weekend he's had. Where did he finish? God, I don't even know. P11 for Stroll. I mean, he was terrible in quali. I think it's a D for Stroll. We all know what happened after qualifying, and then yeah, just way off the pace all weekend, as is accustomed to Stroll at the moment, I think, or just in general. Yuki Tsunoda finished P15. I think he get through to. I think it was SQ3. Did he get through to? And then was running well in the top 10 and then all of a sudden just dropped. I don't know if it was strategy or what it was. I'm going to give him a C. There's not really much I can say about Tsunoda. He's beat Lawson quite convincingly this weekend, but yeah, once AlphaTauri things, you just don't really see them. Max Verstappen, very good, of course, won the race, has won the 23 Drivers' World Championship here as well in the sprint race, and came home like 6th, I think. No, was it 3rd? I can't remember. He came home in a position, I think it was third or second maybe in the sprint. Yeah, pretty sure it was second behind Piastri. But yeah, I'm going to go A just because he didn't have quite the lead that I maybe expected. McLaren were a lot closer, and the fact that he did get beaten by Piastri in, well, both McLarens actually in sprint shootout quali, I'm going to go A. Max has had enough S's as it is, so an A is good enough. And then finally, Zhou Guanyu, who did finish P9 in the end. I'm going to go a B. Good couple of points for Alfa Romeo. His qualifying wasn't great, though. I think he might have started like P19, I think it was P19, wasn't it, for the main race. Not sure about the sprint, but at least brought home a couple of points, so that is good for them. But anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.